Hey everyone, this is the post-tournament update for the Lake Dunlap, and this is Row Fish Go. They were gonna give the post update as far as what happened and everything like that. It was a B.A.S.S Kayak Nation Series tournament, and also CASA, which is Kayak Anglers of San Antonio. And I just want to talk a little bit about the tournament. I was in the tournament and everything went well. My main concern was, hey, is there going to be enough bow ramps for everybody? But I think I had to wait maybe like 4 minutes, and I got on the water probably 10 minutes before first cast and was able to paddle out and got pretty much close to the spot where I was going to start fishing. I think it started at first cast was I think it's 6:15 and we could launch at 5:45, and I think I got in the water like 6:05. So everything. So as far as the tournament goes, had some great early morning blow ups. Maybe I should have maybe slowed it down a little bit, but I was just working this ledge and I was throwing. I'm pretty sure it was my little creeper, which is like a swim bait. It's so good, so weedless. I can just throw it right into trees and everything, and just it doesn't catch. So I was just like, man, I'm gonna throw this thing against the bank, you know, and the water was active, man. Yeah, they were moving around like crazy. I pre-fished the evening before and didn't have any luck, and so I had this one. So I'm bringing my lure back out of the trees, and I'm cranking it just choo 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 choo, just crank it a little bit, and man, I seen this head just come out like from a different angle, even from the right, and just come through and just hit my lure, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a good one, and then, but it didn't hook, so I was like, oh, so I kind of stayed there, and I tried it again, and I think I was a little bit further down, and I had another big blow up, like it just came up and hit it, and I'm like, man, so I missed two right there, and it was still dark, so I had this idea to go up this creek. So, I fished along the shore, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go up this creek. Well, I'm gonna see how many people are up there, because it's like a creek that goes a mile back. So I'm like, man, I hope there's not like six people up in this creek, and then we got to try to get around each other when they try to come out. So it's a creek that's right across from the apartments over there on Lake Dunlap. So I was going up in there, and I seen a guy was already up there. One of the competitors in the tournament, he was fishing up in there. So I was like, well, I'll wait for him to come out. He looks like he's coming out. So I was like, how many people are up there? And he's like, there's a boat, and then there's another guy up there. And he didn't have any luck. So I waited, and then he came out, and I waited. The boat, and then I saw the boat coming out. I was just fishing right there. And so I went up and I was like, I'm going to go up there. There was one guy, one kayak guy that's in the tournament up there. So I went up there, and, it looked pretty good. It's about 5 feet deep. And then I see him, and, you know, uh, I just said hi or whatever. And he was fishing, and he went by me, and, he kind of saw, and he was like, oh man, I didn't mean to push him out of his spot or nothing, but so I went up in there, and man, I see this big old snake on the bank, and I was like, well, you know, you're really close to the bank. Like, I had to put my poles down because I didn't know if I was going to go through there. So that all being said, I went up in there a little ways and decided to come back down. I seen that guy fishing that came out before me, and he caught one. and he, I was really wondering what this guy was throwing. It's almost like he was throwing like a fly popper. He was just really small, and he was just throwing it in there, and he was popping it like his line with the he was hitting his line with his finger, and it would just pop the water. And I'm like, I don't know if it was just a tiny popper or what. And he caught one right there, and I'm sure it counted. And so, I was fishing a little bit more, and then I seen a snake like up in the tree, like looking down at the water, and he's like really close. And so I didn't have any luck in there, and I came out of the creek, and at that point, you know, I could have went back, fished off those ledges where the guy that I talked to previously had told me his best spots were, and I seen people start moving their way down. So I was like, well, I'll just move my way down more and more to the lake. Ended up at this one place where there's like this big old house on the water, but it's like abandoned. Maybe you can see it in the B-roll. And it's got 3 boat docks. And so I seen this one guy, he was kind of flipping in there because they have fences. You can't go back in there, but he's flipping under the fence. And I seen a bass blew up and hit his lure, and he missed him. Stuff. So I went down further until it got real narrow and deep, and there was like nobody around, and there was like a gorge. Oh, it looks like where there's a really good runoff, and it's just like the really canyon part of the lake, I guess, before it goes. It's like where the big bend is in Lake Dunlap. It's the biggest bend of the lake, and I was right on the edge of it, and I'm like, I had this feeling to go back, so I went back. I started fishing all the way back, and then, long story short, yeah, I did catch a bass like right in front of my RV with like 5 minutes left, and I was like, okay, and it was 11 inches, so it doesn't count. So I even went up to the mill dam, which you'll see in the B-roll too. And it's Saturday now, and like everybody's up there. There's a lot of people. There's a big boat up there, and nobody's catching anything. People swimming. So there was lots of boats, and they were flying everywhere. I seen this one guy. I don't know if he was a guide or what. He was like in a striper boat. He just fly back and forth like every 5 minutes. And there was one wakeboarder, maybe 2 different ones, and they were going back and forth. And but I got to see how the kayaks hold up really well with the waves. They just lift you up, and so there was this one time a wakeboarder went right by this guy that was in a tournament that was fishing. I mean, not even like 20 feet from him. You just see him. He didn't even nudge. He just kept fishing. But this guy went whoo, like up probably like 3 or 4 feet and came back down from that wakeboarder. And I thought they'd slow down, but they just went right by him. So, yeah, and then, obviously we prayed that, the winds wouldn't pick up. There's a storm blowing in, and that worked out. The storm didn't hit till later. So it was a good tournament. There was a lot of bass caught. I seen probably about 4 or 5 bass caught. I seen this guy that ended up getting the big bass and second place for the Casa, and he had the Grinch written on his kayak. So that was Jerry the Grinch. So anyways, with Bass Nation, Matthew won, Jeff got second, Max got third, and then with Casa, Max won, Jerry got second, and Jason Ray got third. So, and then I think for Bass Nation, the big bass was like 19 and a half, and then with Casa, Jerry the Grinch caught the big bass at 21 inches. So just going over through that pretty much sums that up. The tournament, a cold front blew in, and it was really cold that night. So I was going to get into a little bit of, give you a little teaser for. I also have we have a podcast, Holy Ghost R&D, where we research and development things about the Bible and just all that's going on in the world and how revelation's coming out, where there's like new things being discovered and lots of truths of stuff that's been hidden that the churches now that didn't accept we're seeing as reality, like we've been taught, and not taught the supernatural aspect of things, and we're starting to see the supernatural come forth as far as like portals and all kinds of stuff. So we see this, with the new House of David series coming out. I'm going to just go a little bit into this podcast that we're going to put out, and I'm just going to go over a few things just to pique your interest. So, about David and Goliath, that was part of the seed war that was playing out. That you see it, most of the ites that the Israelites, God wanted to wipe off and destroy all the people. These guys were actually, they were tainted. Their blood was tainted with the fallen angels and the Nephilim. They were offsprings of the Nephilim, and a lot of them had giant blood in them. So we see that the seed war playing out, and they will see through David and Goliath that they were actually cousins, that they were third cousins, and I think in the series House of David, you'll see that David's mom, they portray her as being a Philistine, actually. And then we got David, had, I guess, 4 or 5 brothers, whatever. And then in reality, historically, it's known that they were kings of the Philistine empires. But in the show, they portray them as hiding in caves, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think they were actually leaders and kings. And the Amalekites, they portray them, even the Amalekite king, he's just this crazy looking guy, but in reality, they were part Nephilim, so they were also really big and, and blood drinkers, of course, and God wanted to wipe them all out. So, we see that when David killed Goliath, he cut off his head, and it goes on to say that he actually carried his skull to Jerusalem. So I'm not going to get into where he took it. We're going to get into that in the Holy Ghost R&D podcast, so you're going to have to stay tuned to hear about all that. So just thank you for listening, and this is Row Fish Go and post-tournament review. And next coming up is going to be the Paris tournament, Kayak Adventure Series. 10K, go to first place. Fish anywhere 60 miles within Paris, Texas. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. Going to be there and going to do the pre-fish, talk about the pre-tournament here in about a week. So stay tuned.